Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Founded in 2013, the EHL is your next step on the path to college. Over the past decade, the EHL has established itself as the college placement leader on the East Coast. And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Thanks, Jim. And with that, let's bring in the E-Crew. Jeff, Anthony, we have a special guest this week.
Yes, we do. Welcome back, Jakey Basile, my son. And inside joke, a lot of you won't get that, but Jake is not actually my son, but he is.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be back. I've missed being here with you guys.
There is one, Vera Sorella, that is convinced that he is your son, though, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
And the math just does not work for that, but it's fine. It's fine.
Well, I'll give her another year before she figures out the math and looks at the situation and is like, wait a second. But for the 23-24 season, Jeff will remain my father.
Vera Sorella, yes. That is correct, Vera. I am Jake's father.
Yes.
I had him at the whopping age of 10 years old.
That's the math that she'll figure out in a year.
Yep. This podcast is already off to a terrific start.
Well, Anthony, we didn't have a podcast last week, so we got to make up for it, right?
Yeah, we got to get weird real quick.
Yes, we did. We didn't have one last week because we were in the middle of our college series, which had 6 games in 6 days and a lot to talk about with that. So let's do so right now and around the E Show.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
Around the E Show is presented by BioSteel, the sports drink of the EHL. Use the promo code EHLB1, that's EHLB1, for 25% off when you check out at biosteel.com.
So we always talk about the scheduler, Anthony, and I actually scheduled myself into this thing, right? And now looking back on it, 6 college games in 6 days and the travel that... I know you had to go to New York as well, but Jake, myself, and Trevor, we had to go down to Maryland all the way up. I'm finally caught up.
Big boy travels.
I think I'm finally caught up now, but wow, that was a beast of a week.
It was the best week ever, is what I think. Trying to say. It was fun. Every car ride was fun. The music was fun. Every game was fun, and it was the best week ever. And when we were driving home, it was the saddest drive ever because it was over.
Yeah, what was that day that I talked to you guys on the phone? You did all sound, everyone's voice was like, hey guys, everyone did a collective, hey.
That was getting to Brockport, and we were dead.
Yeah.
We were getting to the rink at Brockport for meeting the main All-Star team, and that was probably the most exhausted we were.
Yeah, everyone's energy sounded real low.
There weren't days of the week last week, Jeff. There were just days. It was just day 1, day 2, day 3. So the week for us began on Sunday the 15th, and myself, Jake, and Trevor drove down to Maryland. We were getting a position for the South Central All-Star team, while the Northeast was up here in New Hampshire. So for those that didn't notice, we had the 2 regional teams both practice on Monday, the 16th, play games on Tuesday and Wednesday. So first, I guess we'll recap the South Central game. So the first game against Stevenson, the first 10 minutes was truly wild. I knew based on, if you look at last year's NCAA rankings, they were the one that finished highest amongst the 6 college programs that we faced. Lost some players that could return or couldn't return, obviously, but I had a feeling that they would probably be one of the, if not the strongest opponent. Hooley texted me from the bench in the first 10 minutes that it felt like they were storming the beaches in Normandy. They were all over us so badly in the first 10 minutes. And this is no shot at our players, because there always is that kind of shell shock factor in this. Right. But they were big, they were strong, they were fast, and Cross Sherman held it down for as long as he could. And to me, exiting that first period down 2-0 because of 2 power play goals was a victory. Did you feel the same way, guys?
Yeah, I thought Cross was great. I thought he kind of got, I guess you could say, fed to the wolves in both games. He had to deal with that adjustment period of everybody realizing this was the game. Like the first 10 minutes of any of these college series games, like will be the lucky side to have the advantage. And that wasn't the case in Stevenson. So like Cross really held his own, and I give him a lot of credit for what he did. And yeah, I thought leaving the first period down to, I think it stunk because they were power play goals. And it's like, all right, 5-on-5, we did kind of hold our own. But, it stayed that way for the rest of the game, that we held our own at even strength. So,
yeah.
I've mentioned it a couple times on the podcast and on some broadcasts that Carson Fry's faced the second most shots in the EHL. Well, Cross Sherman is the one goaltender ahead of him. So good job to General Sherman for fending off those waves of attacks. And also another thing too about Stevenson's lineup. I wasn't on the call for it, but when I went through the lineup, they have a lot of guys from the North American Hockey League that play D3. And so they get a lot of those guys who, can't get those Division I commits, but they play Division III. And, it's one of the reasons why Stevenson can be such a big and fast team. But good job. I mean, despite that first period, I thought that, the fact that the EHL team was able to get 2 goals and they generated a fair share of scoring chances, I think it spoke well to the team.
Yeah. And then after that, in the second period, I think our guys started to push back a little bit and realized that we could skate with them until we literally gave them their own breakaway pass for a shorthanded goal. Like we deserved the primary assist for that one. And then they got an early, I want to say third period power play goal as well. But then we punched back with 2 goals of our own. And then I guess we'll probably call it the first good laugh of the week, Jake. When we got the score to 4-2, like it felt like the ice was like kind of going in our favor. And it's like, I don't know if we're going to mount like a 4-goal comeback here, but like we have the chances. Like we got Stevenson on their heels. And then it happens one in every, 1,000 hockey games. You put one in your own net. And we did that. And when we did that, I don't really know what I was thinking. I said, I was sitting right next to Trevor and Jake, and I said, I'm walking away. I literally just walked outside.
You didn't say that. You just walked away. We were talking about something else. And like I was mid-sentence and you were gone.
Yeah, I had to walk outside. Like I was
You said we just scored in our own net. You put your hands to the sky and then you were gone. And I looked at Trevor and I was like, well, that was rude.
I can see that now. I was not there, but I can see that now. And hey, just to let you guys know, it happens. It happened in one of my college games this weekend. Stonehill put one in their own net against Bentley.
Like,
well, it happened to the Railers just yesterday in New York too. So,
well, I just
happens everywhere.
The score. Nobody scored another goal after that, and it felt like the wind just came like totally out of our sails at that point because it's like. If we had put that in their net, not our net, it's 4-3, right? But when you look back on that game, 5 goals for Stevenson, 3 power play, 1 shorthanded, and 1 own goal. Like, if we could kind of play that game straight up, we're right there with them. But ultimately, when it comes to this college series, like I'm going to call that a 4-2 game. I'm basically. That's what my brain is going to tell me. And 4-2 is a good score. And I'm very happy with that, with the opponent that we face that day.
And it's an exhibition, right, Neil? I mean, that's the thing, too, is like it's a learning experience for these guys. Like, yes, of course you want to win, but the veterans got the best of the young guys as far as emotions. You can't keep your emotions in. You're going to get that hook, that slash, that trip.
For sure.
Well, Neil, you can put it this way. Stevenson put 4 pucks in the net, and the All-Stars put 3 pucks in the net. So there you go.
Exactly. We just put one in the wrong net, but that's fine.
You just don't mention that part.
Yeah, but we had a great tour at Stevenson that day. Underrated how nice that campus truly was, and only 2,600 students there. So I actually just realized this, Jeff. I pulled a U. I went totally out of order there. I could have started with the afternoon game because Rivier versus the Northeast guys was at 2. That Stevenson game was a nighttime game. The schedule actually allowed for us to watch the Rivier game online, and it sounds again like sour grapes, but for everything what I was told about guys that were there that actually saw it, it didn't feel like a 4-0 game against Rivier. We had a number of chances in the first period where the Rivier goalie played very, very well. And if I'm going to call the Stevenson game a 4-2 game. I had a number of coaches, including college coaches, tell me that the Rivier game felt like a 3-1 game. So I'm going to go with that score for there as well.
Beautiful. 4-0.
So you got the actual score, and we've got the vibe score.
Yes, the vibe score.
Asterisk.
That's perfect, Anthony. That's perfect.
That's a new advanced stat.
Yes.
I'm going to trademark that now.
So then you fast forward to Wednesday, and unfortunately, again, dumb scheduler puts the two games at the same exact time. So we were actually watching the Northeast game on the computer while being at Hershey Park Arena. Jake, I don't know where it ranks for you, but that was one of the coolest buildings I've ever been in. I'm not sure if I know Anthony's been there. I'm not sure if you have, Jeff. It was hard to get there. I will say that because this security guard who will never listen to this podcast, so I could take this shot, right?
They can bury him.
We pull up to the security stand, and I'm like, listen, like Don Parsons, the head coach, told us where we had to go. Like we need to go in this direction. And he's like, nope, you're turning right here, then one more right, then two lefts, and under the blue sign, bear right. And I'm like, what are we talking about? All of a sudden, we pull up, Jeff. We're outside the Hershey Bears rink. I'm like, they don't play here.
Let's go.
It's called the Giant Center.
Yes, I have heard of that.
They're like an NHL team to those fans out there, right? And it's like,
they sell out.
I get that we're at a hockey rink, security guard. I get that, but we're at the wrong hockey rink. So essentially, we had to go straight to the security booth. Long story short. We eventually get inside, and if anyone has been to Hershey Park Arena, they know this, but the place just has like so much history. Like when you walk through it, you can feel, everything that's taken place there. And they still have, I think, the standings up on the wall from like 1937. So like that was pretty cool. And like they made these announcements on the intercom, like when there were 5 minutes left to go in the intermission. It's just speaking of vibes, Anthony, you've been there. Like it's a cool place.
Just a quick fun story about Chris and I last season.
Oh yes,
that we had to park on a grass berm that was just like off the road. We were right in front of a sign, I think we were between like one of the road signs and a tree that was just like firmly in the grass. So the amusement park was to our left.
Yeah,
we had to walk probably good like 700-800 feet to actually get to the building, hauling all that equipment with us. But it's where Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points, and it just has such such a vintage, nostalgic feel to it. You can tell that such like an old time arena in the architecture, the seating. So, I mean, I'm glad you guys got to experience that.
Yes, it was Joe Sindoni on the call for that one. I wanted to try and even it out, Anthony, because I knew you had the main All-Star games coming up. Unfortunately, not quite the result that we were looking for against Lebanon Valley College. But if we're going off vibes again, Anthony, I truly think, and our big reason why we had these regional games is because of what the South Division on its own did against LVC last year, right? Yep. And I truly think that, not that LVC was embarrassed, but I think that they were kind of like, we need to send a message based off what took place last year. And you called that game last year. Can you take us back to that overtime loss where, again, it kind of felt like one of those games where the EHL had most of the play throughout, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the overtime. I feel like the overtime ended pretty quickly, but LVC was leading, I want to say 4-2, and that was when the South Division scored 2 goals in the last 5 minutes. About they had pulled the extra attacker. I remember that play where Fulkerson lobbed the puck up to Demarinis, and he scored on a terrific redirection. Like I always compare it to like Joe Pavelski. That's how good it was. But yeah, I mean it was electric. The team was really hyped when they got that goal. But in overtime, Coach Parsons put out his best players on the ice, and they had that extra time and space with the 3-on-3, and they were just able to score. I don't know if the All-Stars even had that much puck possession last season.
Yeah. But it felt like, you fast forward to this year and Lebanon Valley was not coming off the game against Stevenson the night before. And also a little motivated from that last year. That 6-1 result doesn't, that team was so fun to be around. And Jake, you can speak to this too. Like right before the game, we had like an hour to kill. So we just walked over to Chocolate Town and we got on like this.
Shout out John Parsons for securing us a tour of Chocolate Town. It was awesome.
Like we did that little what do you even call that ride we did, Jake? Like I don't know.
It's like the inside factory look about how chocolate is made, where the beans come from. It was cool. It smells
that
amazing.
Sounds electric.
It smells amazing in that building, and it's some of the players were very confused as to why we're there, and then I would say 75% of the players just bought in and were putting their arms up on the ride that moves 5 miles an hour. So yeah, they were an awesome group.
And Neil, the big chocolate pretzel guy.
Neil, you said it best. They felt like a team. By the end of the first practice, first team meal, whatever it was, it felt like everybody was on the same page.
Yeah. No, it was cool to be a part of it. It's funny, we were only together from Monday to Wednesday, right? But every player coming up to me afterwards, thanking me and whatnot. It's how this team became so close so quickly was pretty unique. And then I'm not sure if you guys saw the photo that I tweeted, but I took a picture with all of the LVC players that were EHL alums, because it was actually Jackson Legro who came up to me and said, "Do you remember me?" And I was like, "Jackson, you literally fought Parker James." And arguably the most big and probably the the most epic fight we've ever had in our league. And we don't condone fighting, but this was one of those where they literally both stood up the entire time and were just wailing at each other. And I think both broke each other's noses. It's how would I forget that?
I do remember that. I'm just seeing the picture now. Look at them.
Yeah, there's a couple 87s in there, Anthony. Ian Lindbergh, Dylan Gutierrez, and I think what stood out really in the LVC game is I think our players know going into these games that their opponents are obviously older, but they're really bigger and stronger too. When you get to college, you get the chance to go through the workouts that they do. You develop so much physically that you can see the difference on the ice. But while we were watching that game, we also had Tyler Arago calling the game in the background for the Northeast team. And we're going to jump to his call now, because you just have to hear how that game ended for us.
Time is going to run out, and for the third time ever, an EHL All-Star team is going to pick up a win over a Division III institution as the Northeast All-Stars hold on to win 3-2 over the Penmen of Southern New Hampshire.
So yes, with a 3-2 victory over Southern New Hampshire, it's now 3 victories for the EHL in our history. Love the tweet. Welchie. Yes, love the tweet though, Anthony. And back-to-back years now we have a win too. And truly an awesome game. And shout out I have to give to JJ Alger, who plays for the Seahawks. He actually was the one filming those goals. We'll call it Trevor style. Up with the Northeast team. And the goal that Valenta, the pass to Beal was dirty. The little toe drag. Yeah, exactly.
I'm an Italian, fellas. I know good sauce when I see it. Oh my God,
that was sick. And then, Nick Theodis with the game winner for us. And Walshy was actually great about it, Jeff. He literally called me on his way home, and he was he basically said that he went into his locker room and was like, "Hey, we have 18 players here on the Southern New Hampshire roster that are freshmen or sophomores. Those players that you just played to and lost by a goal or whatever, that shows you that they're not that far behind you." Right? So you may be on a college roster, but you're still constantly competing to earn your spot. Right. And ultimately the goal for us is to just be competitive in these games. And if we have the chance to pull off an upset victory, then so be it. But, it's kind of funny. On Tuesday, the better team was the South Central team. And frankly, you could say it wasn't even close. But then there was the Northeast team that was the better team Wednesday and had the win. But all in all, I am beyond pleased with both regional teams for the efforts that they showed. And I can't officially say this yet, but we'll say 3 of the 4 regional matchups for next year for those teams are already locked in.
Oh,
so
sneak tease preview.
Yeah, it's like a year-long tease ahead there, Jeff. But that's what the college programs are all about this, right? They're watching these games and they're texting me throughout and they're already locking themselves in for next year, right? So that was the regional section of the week. So if you're following our travel, if you want to pull up a map, myself, Jake, and Trevor drove down to Maryland. We went up to Pennsylvania, stayed in Pennsylvania on Wednesday night, and then from there we headed up to New York on Thursday. What do you got?
Neil,
Jake?
you missed a key detail. Because you didn't want to go out the night after LVC, we missed Mean Girls trivia night at that bar and grill.
Dude.
And I'm not gonna let you live that one down.
We would
have been walking away with some prizes.
Yes,
we would have been walking away with prizes, let me tell you that.
Well, the game ends and we get to the hotel, we check in, and then I was like, let's just order takeout. So we walk in and they ask, like, we're opening the door and they're asking some trivia question and Jake just shouts the answer. I'm like, how did you even hear what they were talking about? Like he knew immediately when we were walking in. And I don't know if the guy behind the counter was quite ready for your energy, Jake. But you brought the energy the second we walked in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not every day you walk into a place and they're talking about Mean Girls, one of the greatest movies of our generation. So yes. I was excited, but if they ever do it next year, maybe we'll find a way to swing by.
She doesn't even go here.
Exactly.
So, Jeff, you're gonna love this next one. So now we get the Thursday of All-Star Week, and we begin the drive north from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to Brockport, New York. There is not a lot in between, but it's very pretty, right?
Especially this time of year, leaf peeping and
yes. But my frustration,
up the wazoo.
My frustration. Wait till you see this, Jeff. Wait till you see this. My frustration built up with this.
And now Neil's about to share a screen for those at home.
Does this email message even sound like me?
Please mail me back as soon as possible.
No, so you can start from the beginning, Jeff.
Okay, the subject is Sean Collins. Hello.
Who the email went to. The subject is the person that it went to.
There we go. To Sean P. Collins 9@gmail.com. Subject, Sean Collins. Hello. Are you available? Please mail me back as soon as possible, period. Hope to, no space. Hear from you soon, period. Thanks. Best regards, Neil Raffin. Yeah, I've never gotten
with a period after best regards. So
my 8 years of being friends and working with you, never got best regards. You are very grammatically correct.
So
you were very AP stylely correct.
Well, we had an owner's call on Thursday morning at 9:00. Hit the road at 10, and Jake and Trevor are watching like the card play on the screen. Call. It's
an experience,
text.
Isn't it?
And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I peeked down on my phone and I got all these texts like, do you need to speak to me? And it's like, coaches, that doesn't even sound like me. Like, if I needed to speak to you, wouldn't I just call you?
Right.
Yes, I'm calling out.
What you do all the time.
I am calling out all of our coaches right now. I mean, Jake, how long was I on the phone for to start that car ride?
It was hysterical. Like your reaction every time. It was like, hang up with one guy, next guy calls, hang up with one guy. The only coach that realized from the get-go was Cody Gagne. So we got to give a shout out to him for just knowing right away. You called him and you were like, is this about the thing? And then whatever. And Cody was like, yeah, I already gave him my social security number.
Already sent the check to Dubai. It's all set. We're good.
Like I think Corey Politi texted me 7 times in a row. Like, I'm trying to reach you. You need to talk to me. And then all of a sudden he's like, wait, I get it. It's not you. And it's
someone that's had some gullible moments in this Eastern Hockey League. I feel for the coaches, but yeah, I mean, come on, boys.
I mean, if anything, I guess we could say this, Jake, it killed a good 2 hours of that car ride,
awesome.
Right?
It was hysterical.
But it was like Jeff, it was like call after call after call, and it's like,
I mean, is that different than your usual? You're usually call after call after call.
The issue was with this one, it was like I would have like 3 missed calls when I would get off one. it wasn't like a slow pattern to it. And it was like
he was playing catch up. He was playing catch up.
Yeah, I finally was able to get a hello to Joe, and I was like, Joe, can you just tell the league that it's not me? Like, just send out another message to tell them it's not me. Finally, it slowed down. We get up there for the practice, took the team picture. Highlight for me of the team picture, we were like, the best part about working with Margaret and Dan Hickling is they get really particular about where everyone stands. So I sat in the middle, Jeff. Did you see who was above me?
No, that picture did look great. I saw DiCaprio was to your left and Bertoni was to your right.
Yeah, and Carson Fry was right behind me. Oh, so I sit down, right, and I'm like, a little
large.
I'm like, my God, you are literally 4 feet above me right now. He's like, he's like, yeah, I'm kind of big. At that point, we did not know how funny he was going to be. So I went to give him a show, and he goes, "Does it look like that will fit me?" And I was like,
"Oh wow!"
Okay. I was like,
"He's got a personality." Those goalies, sometimes you don't know.
It was absolutely hysterical.
My favorite with Carson was when we were at Fredonia. The players are getting warmed up, and as the staff was getting the ice ready, they had the actual long drill that where you drill the holes into the for the net pegs.
Yep.
And Carson saw that. He's just like, "Oh my goodness, this place is legit." I don't think anything else.
This net's not coming off today.
I don't think anything else in the Fredonia campus could have impressed him more than the fact that they drilled holes into the ice to put the net pegs in.
Yeah, I heard he went straight to Common App. He was like, "I'm putting my application in.
Yeah,
let's go."
Well,
are they the Blue Devils, SUNY Fredonia?
So and Fredonia was Friday. We bust out there. Great tour with Jeff Meredith, and he actually said to me, he was like, "I thought you told me that the coaches weren't coming until later." And I'm like, "What is he talking about?" And he points at Fry. I go, "That's one of the goalies."
That's one of our players.
He's like,
"Birth certificate, sir, please."
He's like, "What?" I was like, "That's one of the goalies." He's like, "Well, yeah, I could have sworn that Rich said that he was driving himself here." I was like, "Yeah, they'll be here soon."
That is a man right there.
Yeah. So it was. I guess we'll dive into it. That game first against Fredonia. We talked earlier about kind of like that initial shell shock of playing these college games. That didn't exist for our team. Like, we drop the puck and we just get all over them from the beginning. I think we actually, every period, came out kind of with more energy than they did, first, second, and third period. And I don't want to get too much into what took place at the end because I'm still kind of upset about it. Obviously, I think our players learn fast that when you get to college, when the stick gets parallel, they're going to make hooking calls and whatnot. And we had killed off 5, Anthony.
Yep,
5
they went 5 for 5 in regulation,
Yeah.
including that shorthanded goal by Ryan Dan.
Yeah.
Great job by Mike Koparko of the Seahawks, the dangle defenseman, too, to get that initial shot.
100%. And that call, to me, that one came with 2:28 left to put us down one more time. And it's like, all right, we're down a goal. It's the slashing call. I kind of get it, right? But whatever. It was actually AJ Lackus who started that play, Anthony. They didn't even realize this until I went back to watch. So he actually scored the first goal and then assisted on the second goal to start that play with Koparko. And credit to Dan, like you said, for crashing the slot while down a man, because typically if we're not down a goal in that situation, I don't think Ryan Dan as a defenseman would be 5 feet away from the net to help put that one in, right? But we get to overtime, Jeff, and I guess how you describe it is those situations where the goalie is standing in his net, he's got his player behind the net with the puck, and there's a opposing player in the slot, and they're kind of juking back and forth.
Yeah,
and it's
playing chicken. Yep.
The contact that took place was so minimal, but the two players, so the two players end up on top of each other, and I went back and watched it again. Fredonia thought the penalty was against them. And they literally they started putting out their PK unit. And then we get called for goalie interference in our own end. And it's like, dude, it's an exhibition game. Let us just play overtime. Overtime's fun. Like,
who did we assign for refs to that game?
I don't even know who they were.
What happened too is like their arms interlocked. It looked like a do-si-do square dancing. And I mean, I think also the fact that Croshaw was on top of the Fredonia forward. Yeah, I think that may have influenced the call too. But like, what confused me, Neil, is that when I first started doing these college showcase games, the one with Curry College and UMass Boston, I remember they let a lot of stuff go. And I think the coaches were like, okay, no, this is college hockey. They're bigger, they're faster, more physical. So, it takes a little more to get a penalty. And it just felt really ticky-tacky.
But like I keep going back to this, Anthony. It's an exhibition game. Just let us play the overtime. Just let us play the overtime. Because of course they're going to score. You keep giving them power play chances. Eventually they're going to score one. And it's just like, even Jeff Meredith afterwards was like, it doesn't matter if Fredonia won or the EHL won that game. It felt like the life was sucked out of it the second that it ended the way that it did. Right? Like, I know, like, we deal with this every year with a playoff game in the NHL that ends in overtime with a power play, because it's like, should penalties be called in overtime and decide games like that, right? But that's like a playoff game. Like, we're in an exhibition game, Anthony. Like, just let us play overtime, right? Like, let AJ Lackas get back out there, and he's already got 2 points, right? Like, Jake, he's probably our best player in that game.
I think maybe in both games too. He was unbelievable. Like, from the jump, like, he was just a man out there. And I talked to Coach Dickinson at Brockport after the Brockport game, and I was like, hey, what do you think of 13? Because, like, I take pride in AJ Lackas. I don't know why, but I'm just like, yeah, he's in my league. Like, that's my guy right there. So I was like, hey, what'd you think of 13? And he was like, if he was like, I was a little concerned about his size because Lackas is a smaller guy, but he's like, if he could do what he did against Fredonia, who's like the toughest, hardest, meanest team that we play regularly, he'll be fine. And not only did he, hold his own, but I said this on Twitter yesterday when you posted the stars. I think it was yesterday, the day before. I can't remember exactly. And I said that on both sides of the ice in the Fredonia game, whether it was the All-Stars or Freeport or Fredonia, AJ Lackas was the best player on the ice for both teams, for sure. He was sensational.
And I guess that was like my frustrations. It's like he was definitely like the best guy for us. But then, like, you go down the roster, first in the Fredonia game, we'll get to like the Brockport game after, right? And Anthony, I know you were on the call with Chris, and it's like Mike Caparco had that sweet dangle that set up the tying goal, right? Mellis had a number of chances. You go down the list, Schiebel set up the goal for Lackas. On D, we have Cummings played well, Haw played well.
I thought Andrew Van Antwerp looked like one of the better defensemen out there.
And that was, I guess, my frustration. And it's like, I'm gonna say the same line again. Like, all these guys play well, and like, you make us like kill a penalty 40 seconds into overtime. Like we're all the way out here in Fredonia. Like, it is far, right?
Anthony, are in God's country.
Can I make a Chris joke for a second?
Sure.
I don't know if you heard what he said to me when we got off the bus. Did you hear what he said to me?
No.
Okay. We get off the bus. It's the back of the building, Jeff. Speaking of gullible, love you, Chris Russo. Before I say this.
Okay. No, I know what you're about to say. Okay.
He goes, I know we're pretty far north and close to Canada, but it's already snowing up here. I go, Jeff, I go, Chris, that's the Zamboni exit, and that's where the Zamboni dumps the snow. And he goes, I'll go inside now. He just walked
see Chris too.
I mean, but in fairness to him, if anybody had said in Fredonia that it had already snowed, I would believe it.
It was cold.
It's right by the lakes.
It wasn't warm. And the Brockport tour was the same way. It was kind of like a raw cold where probably in a month from now it will be snow, right? But Jake, you mentioned that Fredonia team, like, they were physical. They were really physical. Like, they hit everything that moved in that game to try and match our speed, truthfully. What were you going to say, Anthony?
another guy who just had like an upward trajectory all throughout it was Trent King. Like he took that first 20 minutes to adjust, to figure some things out. And then in the Brockport game, he looked great. In the last 40 minutes of the Fredonia game, he looked great. He was creating opportunities. And he was a guy that in particular, you had to use his speed against a physical team like Fredonia. And they didn't have an answer for him in the last 40.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Fredonia definitely seems like a heavier team. But one thing I want to bring up about the Fredonia arena too, that I unfortunately didn't get to bring up on the broadcast, is that in the back wall behind the camera, behind our broadcast booth, there's a wall of the 40 or so players who went to Fredonia and went on to play professional hockey. So for the players listening, it can happen. Go D3 and then play minor league hockey. There's this one goaltender, Kevin Stone, who played for the Florida Panthers American Hockey League team. I think it was the Border City Cats or something. And his first check was for $254.99. And the check was made out by the Florida Panthers because, it's the direct affiliation. And he never cashed it. He put it in a frame along with his picture and it's hanging up on the wall behind the stands at SUNY Fredonia. And I just thought that was the funniest thing.
It is pretty damn cool. And they have a team picture from every year also. So it's pretty cool to see what assistants have worked under Jeff Meredith, who's been there for every single season except for the inaugural year of Fredonia hockey. So Brian Dickinson worked under Jeff Meredith. Greg Heffernan in our league worked under Coach Meredith. TJ Matastursky, who was the head coach at Curry. Like the list goes on and on and on. And I guess another special shout out to the guy that drove us to and from, bus driver John. I gave him an EHL sweatshirt. First period ends, and he goes, "I know you just played 20 minutes. How many of those do you do?" We do 2 more, John. He's like, "What do you call those?" I go, "Those are called." No. I go, "Those are called periods, right?" So the game, the regulation ends, and we're tied at 2.
We're up to the bottom of the 7th inning now, John.
So Jeff, we're tied at 2 after the 3rd period, but the team hasn't left the ice. They did the other 2 periods, right? And he's like, "What are we doing now? Do I get the bus?" I go, "No, don't get the bus yet." I go, "We play overtime now." He's like, "Overtime?" I go, "Yes, 5 minutes, 3-on-3. He goes, 3-on-3? This is gonna be wild." So truthfully, Anthony, back to my comment before, the ref
we robbed the bus driver of magical
his first 3-on-3.
3-on-3 overtime.
You know what 3-on-3 can be. It could be electric. It could go back and forth. And we robbed John. So John, if you ever hear this, just know that I felt John. Like you got.
He just totally buys in, becomes a listener to the podcast.
Exactly. So then we got back next day, bottom of the day, of the week. Jeff, we spoke at some point. We were definitely drained, but as we did last year and did this year, we finished with a breakfast at Johnny D's restaurant, a fantastic establishment. Obviously, Johnny D's. Yeah, obviously owned by Johnny D's, and my phone is Johnny D too. There, Jeff, just so you know. And then we went. It's just this guy John. I don't know. It's in Spencerport, New York. It's
Spencerport. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Obviously, a 3-1 loss for us against Brockport, but when you compare it to last year's 7-3 game, I think we really pushed back. More than we did the previous year, and it felt good again to kind of talk about like our guys were definitely exhausted having played the night before, right? And it's like you compare it to the other teams that play the night before for us, and I think the main All-Star team ranks right up there with of all 3 with the way they punch back against Brockport. It was
Ryan Dan who scored too.
Yeah, it was Ryan Dan who scored the goal for us. I kind of had a little deja vu. This is probably going to cut a little deep for Jake, but in the 3rd period they had David Felak in net, right? Trevor Jewell in the 2nd period, and Jeff, he makes all these same saves like it was last year. Still, there was a shot that we had in the 3rd period that I don't even know how he even saw it. He just takes his shoulder, right? Anthony, you called it probably, and he's like, and saves it, and I'm like. How did they even see that? Like,
yeah, he did that a lot last year. Where you're like, what?
Yeah, so it was
confusing.
Obviously, 21 of our alumni are on the Brockport roster.
There's alone: Felak, Jewel,
and Weimer, and Dylan Weimer.
Dylan Weimer.
Should we? Jeff, can I I know I kind of took a shot at Chris. Can I take a fun throwback at you for a second?
Oh, always, buddy.
Okay.
Always.
Dylan Weimer, for those that don't know, former Wizard, is from Greece, New York.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah. Jeff thought he was from like Greece, the country. So it's all good though, Jeff. I make mistakes.
Gotta love upstate New York.
Yes.
Upstate New York has all Spencerport.
Yes.
Ever been? No, absolutely not.
I think
New York, never.
Weren't we in Sweden? I think we passed through a town called Sweden, New York.
Probably.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it felt like we were that far away.
Did not look at all how I had pictured Sweden, how they show in the movies. Not at all.
Oh man.
Well, it's mountainous. Or no,
yes.
There's probably some good mountains up there.
Yeah. So it was a fitting end to the week, and I think I'm so proud of what each team did. I think what stood out to me the most for the main team, and you probably saw this in the Stars of the Week that we put out there, all three goalies on that main team were given an honorable mention in our Stars of the Week, because I really think all three played very, very well. Ryan Crouchaw, Ben Skelton, Bones, as everyone loves to say, and Carson Fry, right? So they all played phenomenal. We mentioned AJ Lackas, Andrew Van Antwerp was tremendous as well. And again, it felt like this group of guys that was together for 24 hours was like a real team. Jake?
I got to give a shout out to Ben Skelton, because he was the last one to leave because he refused to leave without thanking you, Neil. So got good Southern manners from my guy from Virginia. He's the man.
Yeah. It was
Country Roads,
cool.
take him home.
I thought Mikhail Kukareko was the last one to leave because he traveled with me and Chris.
Yes, yeah, Anthony, he did say, "Thank God I got some headphones for the ride home." The same. Did he ever pull them out?
I don't remember.
Okay, it was a long ride. Ride. I do appreciate. I think there were 5 guys that took a pizza home a piece too, because there were some guys that took right off. They wanted to hit the road, and other guys were like, "I'll take a full pizza for the ride."
Those who waited get pizza. That's the reward for being patient.
So, but what a week, and I think we got a great tease here, because we already started talking about AJ Lackas, and that's a tremendous segue into fantasy.
Now it's time for the eShow Fantasy Challenge. Follow along on the EHL app, available now for free on both Apple iOS and Android.
So before we jump into the eShow Fantasy Challenge, we got to talk about DraftKings again, Jeff. I actually had a lineup going the other night during...
Did you?
Well, they called it Frozen Frenzy.
Frozen
Frenzy, yes. And I was like, you know what? I got to put in a lineup for this. I should have probably had Tyler Toffoli. I think he had 4 goals or 3 goals, or whatever. Didn't win or cash anything, right? But it's one of those when you kind of when that much is going on, Jeff, I felt like I had to try something to be engaged, right? And be following all 16 games at once. And again, the NHL started now, so you don't have to rely just on the NFL for your betting needs on DraftKings. But DraftKings, they do have some new offers are still in place right now, don't they?
They do. And actually, speaking of the devil, Tyler Toffoli, I just traded for him in our big ass league, our big ass fantasy hockey league.
Oh, you did?
I did. I got him from Justin, and guess what? He was on my bench this week. So all those points are he got a whopping 12.8 points yesterday. Oh, and then he had 10 points last night. He has 5 goals and an assist on my bench this week. Let's go.
I was there last night for his 2 goals.
Damn it. Son of a...
But it's okay, Jeff, because DraftKings just has an offer that will make you feel better, right?
I guess. Now let me go. Yeah. The NFL season is going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. Bet $5 on any game this week to score $200 instantly in bonus bets. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game day this October. So get in on the game day greatness. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code THPN. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet $5 on the NFL. That's the NFL, folks, not the NHL. You can do either, but we're talking NFL here. All right? Keeping track there? All right. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, you can call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPENY. That would be 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777, or you can visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Licensee partner, Golden Nugget, Lake Charles. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
So, are you going to put Toffoli in your lineup next week, Jeff?
Yeah, I almost just threw my phone through the freaking wall looking at that.
He's
17th ranked in our entire league now. Cool.
Yeah,
Justin's probably flipping out more because he just traded him to me.
Well, he also traded me DeBrincat at beginning of the year too. So
I'm gonna chirp Justin for a little bit. Justin talked a big game about how good he was in fantasy, and he's managing a team like he's Lou Lamoriello right now, giving away all these good players.
And you just got a text from him firing back at you, Jake. But
Love you, Justin.
To the EHL fantasy now. We teased this earlier. We talked a lot about AJ Lacus, right, in the college series. What about AJ Lacus in the fantasy challenge? He's in second place.
Because he picked himself.
Because he picked
only
himself.
Only the most intelligent people pick AJ Lacus, and I might do it for November.
Like here, Jake Basile, AJ Lacus. There are a lot of things that stand out about these standings, guys. All right. So first, let's point out the guy who's in first place, Sean Myers. I'm assuming father of Peyton Myers.
Walpole Combine.
Okay. With Drew Cody and Aaron Donovan.
That's a wagon of a lineup. Holy
Express crap. EHLP guys in the lead at 84.4. We only have a handful of days left, too. It just hit me. November is next week. Then you got AJ Lacus, who picked himself, we just mentioned, and Merrick Herda and Cam Reardon. Hey, Anthony.
His teammates lifting heavy, too. Herda and Reardon.
Anthony, good pivot to Chris DiMartino. Remember the rule that we put in place, guys, for injury substitutions. If a player gets injured and you choose to have someone take his spot, it wipes out everything that took place already in this month, and you start from zero.
So Anthony ended up doing it because last episode we didn't know yet.
2 weeks ago, we told him this, and the next day he submits DiMartino, and then since then he puts up 38 freaking points.
Hey, Anthony, you're figuring this thing out, guy.
He could be winning this thing. You want to trip the guy who rode with you, Anthony. Look at this: 38 for DiMartino, 32 for Dunkel, Kukareka. You double that, you triple that, you could be in the lead
87,
of this thing.
Burning you, bud.
Yeah, I mean, this one's interesting to me too. Jake, you were just at the Apple Court. Did you meet Justin Horatio while you were there the last 2 days?
I did, yeah.
Scorekeeper, graphic designer, kind of guy who gets things done for the Apple Core. This is interesting. Apple Core forward, Apple Core goalie,
Railer D, Corbin.
Maybe New York, little New York connection. Maybe that'd be my guess.
So you look at those two games that the Railers beat the Apple Core in. Who had 2 game-winning goals? Corbin Mealy. Pause. I got to go back for a second.
Business.
Fredonia game. Jeff, as a PA guy, you're going to laugh at this, okay?
Uh-oh.
He gets announced as Mike Corbin.
What?
Dude,
excuse me?
I can't even make it up. They think they did Cummings first. I think first on defense, Seamus Cummings, and then second they go and now Mike Corbin, and I'm like, what did he just say?
You would better off saying like Patrick Corbin from like the MLB or something. Who the hell's Mike Corbin?
Credit to Corbin, he just skated to the blue line because he was like, that's supposed to be me. But it's
thank you, everybody. I'm Mike Corbin now.
It's like, what just happened?
And then they moving names. I don't know.
We just highlighted the first, second, third, and fourth place guys. Look at the battle of Shrewsbury going on right now between 5th and 6th place. Mike and Jake Basile. So Mike.
Or Mikey's probably starving right now. I don't think Jakey's cooking him any dinners.
This is wild. PJ Sweeney has as many points almost as Peyton Myers, 43. Yep. Corbin on defense, Sam in net. I want to get to this one. This one's pretty interesting. I'm going to come back to this. Remind me, come back to Sam, okay? And then Jake, as we know, he picked Blackus, Van Antwerp, and Skelton.
Bones, look at Bones, almost 30 points.
I'm right behind the Basile boys. Remember, it was Olivia Scott ahead of me. I was in second place. She was in first place when we recorded last. Jeff Mazzone right there, 9th place, baby. He's also got PJ Sweeney. Are these Corbin's parents, Jake?
I don't
have to be, right?
No, I don't think that's his mom's name. But
Dan and Mackenzie. But it's interesting. They both pick Corbin. One pick Wyman, one pick McAleer, one pick Casper, one pick Matthews.
Look at how look at the parity of those points.
Yes.
Right.
So Jeff, we got you right here above alum Colby Walters, who picked his brother Carson Walters.
Yeah, Isaac Selja-Ugi. I don't know, bud. We might have to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not getting enough starts. 2.8 points.
Yeah.
Isaac, what up?
Justin,
that's a Santa Bodie thing. I got to call him.
Justin right here with Beal Cummings and Donovan.
Not as successful as his NHL fantasy is going right now.
PJ Sweeney is a beast. Wow. He has 43 out of my 52 points.
Yes. And know that we are at a point in the fantasy now where if you wanted to get ahead and start submitting your picks for the next month, you can do so. And I suggest you do so right away, because by the time we record next, we'll have the next set of picks to talk about. So
AJ Lackus, welcome back to Team Jake.
Oh my God.
Third in the league in points. Pretty good.
We're recording and obviously dropping this on the 26th. We have 6 days of fantasy left. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for the month of October. Then we flip around and start the month of November. So this is the reminder. Start thinking about your November picks. You have until the end of the day on Tuesday, Halloween. Get them in before you go trick-or-treating, right? To get your picks in for next month. But you know what? Jeff, since you've had the most history of this fantasy compared to the whole group, right? Because we've done it kind of differently every year.
Yeah.
To me, humble brag in a way, this feels like the most fun so far.
Yeah, no, it does. I love having fans, having family, teammates, players. It's very cool.
This is a great idea by Neil.
Good format. Good
choice.
You.
And now I just teased this a second ago, because those that have Sam Bowes are probably like, why did I not get the 4 points for the win yesterday against the 2 days ago, I should say, against the Wolves? This was that 5-4 game. Did you guys see what happened here in this game?
I did not, I'll be honest.
So this is 5-4, Tuesday the 24th. Avalanche win in overtime, right? Sam gets a 10-minute misconduct with 9 seconds left in the game. So he essentially got kicked out of the game because there weren't 10 minutes left, right? Yep. So Robidoux comes in, makes Uno save.
And gets the win?
Oh,
no. Poor Sammy.
So you go back to our fantasy, and you go back to the Battle of Shrewsbury right here. Mike is probably saying to himself, yes, I have a slim lead on Jake, but I should have 4 more points.
Oh.
I'm telling you right now, Jake, those 4 points could be huge.
I'm going to decide it.
Yes.
Wow. Well, AJ Lackus plays on Saturday, so I'll need a big performance out of my goal.
Mikey Basile's going to be picketing outside the ice den. Give him the win! What the heck?
10-minute misconducts aren't called often on goaltenders, but I have seen
one.
What
did he do? Sammy, nice kid.
I'd have to find out what happened. I have to find out what happened. But I was just laughing last night when I got caught back up on the fantasy, and I was like, oh my God. Like, Jake and Mike are literally right next to each other in the standings, and there could be a bigger gap. But you can't give that win to Sam because he wasn't in net when they won the game.
Horrible.
Like, it's tough. It's real tough. But hey, they're going up to Vermont for 2 games. So, maybe he'll win one of those games and make it the difference for Mike. Not sure if that's my game to watch, but we'll jump to what to watch for now.
And now here's what to watch for in the EHL and the EHLP.
What to Watch For is presented by Flow Hockey, the official streaming platform for your EHL and EHLP action throughout the 2023-2024 season.
So yes, that would be a good game to pick for what to watch for, but I don't think I'm going to go there exactly. I think I'm going to cheat a little bit and kind of pick two games. In talking with Nick Coda before this week started for the Express.
Damn it, you stole mine.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Well, he kept talking about like he gets to find out how good his team really is this week, right? They already
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, they already beat the Wizards 1-0 earlier this week. They play the Terriers, they play the Rangers.
Jammed week. Yep.
Like this is as I like to say, Jeff, a big boy week, right?
Big boy hockey, right, Sean Bertoni?
Yeah, like so, there you go. I just told Jake a second ago we'd be picking one E and one P, and then I totally act like a hypocrite and pick two EHL games. So whoever wants to go next.
Still love you.
Well, I was already taken, so I'll see you guys next week. Have a good day. Bye.
I'm gonna let you go first next time, Jeff.
No, it's okay.
You can pick the same game for different reasons.
Just piggybacking off it, it is huge. I mean, that's 3 games in 3 days. No, 3 games in 4 days for the Express with the Terriers, Rangers, Avalanche slate. So
yeah,
that will most definitely. But why don't we do Huntsman Bears? We can go in the South. I know Anthony might pick a South game. Maybe not. He's not just a South person, people. But Bears 9-2 in first place. Huntsman not too far behind, just 3 points behind him in third place. Anthony DePaul's New Jersey 87 sandwiched in between in second place. So why don't we do them for the E and then over to the P? Have you guys seen the Jake? I know you have, residing in the Boston division. Rangers, Railers, Express, Warriors. Warriors started to lose some games, so we're finally starting to get a little bit of separation in that Boston division. The Rangers are not losing, nor your Railers.
They just lost. Those guys just lost, so we'll see.
Yeah.
See if they'll bounce back in about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it looks like you guys have the Bandits today, 11:30.
Correct.
And you'll be on the call.
Before I let Jake or Anthony jump in with their picks now, Jeff, I'm glad you picked the Huntsman because we haven't heard a lot about this lately. Are you and Zach Overholzer still good?
We are. Zach sent me I have a sweatshirt right here. Zach actually just sent me a PA Huntsman sweatshirt.
Okay. We hadn't heard any updates recently, so I wanted to just make sure the relationship was still going strong. So
still going very strong.
Okay,
except the sweatshirt's a little too big. So at Newington, we're doing a little switch out. He got me a 2X. I was like, Zach, how big do you think I am, man? It's a little bit of like I look like I'm wearing my dad's like jersey, so I got to get an extra large.
Hey, it could be good in Newington though. That rink is cold. Just saying.
It is freezing. It is a absolute.
You could actually wear like a Snuggie if you wanted to, and just kind of walk around Newington the whole time like that.
We'll do that. Husband Snuggie. Hey, I'm a league guy. Not this weekend. I'm a PA husband guy.
Jake or Anthony, who wants to go next?
I'll take it. I'll AJ Lackus is playing Saturday night against the Rangers, so that's my game to watch at Merrill Fay. So that's just the only reason why this is the AJ Lackus episode for me. I texted Neil, like, I need to be on this episode specifically as AJ Lackus's hype up man, just because of what I saw from him over the course of All-Star Week. And then P show, I'll give it to Railers Rangers. I mean, that's going to be the top dog matchup right now as that division looks. So I'll be on the call. Listen, I'm sound even handsomer over the audio there. So enjoy it.
Back-to-back days for your P-boys too, Jake. That'll be good.
We have a ton of back-to-backs this year. Every home game is saddled with a back-to-back. It's very different than last year.
Yeah. That's not my scheduling. That's Bertoni's scheduling.
Yeah.
Anthony?
I guess with the EHL, I'd have to say Express Hockey Club and the Boston Junior Terriers. You got the number 3 and 4 team in the East Division. So I think that should be a really good matchup. And then for the EHLP, we got to take it back to the CIA. Cool Insuring Arena, Adirondack Junior Thunder against the New England Wolves, the top 2 teams in the New England division. You know, we talk about the Boston division in the EHLP. The New England division, they also have some pretty good teams with the Thunder, the Wolves, the Avalanche. The Lumberjacks are off to a bit of a slow start, but I think they're a team that can bounce back, and I think it's going to be right up there with the Boston division. It's one of the best in the EHLP.
Yeah. And those two teams just faced off this past weekend at the Wolves, split those two games. And again, we're only in October, so this could be early, but maybe a little bit of a New England Division Finals preview, if you will, right? So
11 goals in those two games, by the way, 6-5 and 7-4.
Yeah. Ooh. Well,
because who needs defense?
Yes, and I think this tells me something, Anthony. Maybe I should think more EHLP for fantasy than EHL in November. Just a thought, but again, that's just.
I went with Sweeney, but
yeah,
I screwed up my own two picks. So
that's just what's at the top of the standings, right? Or you could just pick AJ Lacus, like Jake said, right?
I submitted my picks. I have them again. Spoiler alert.
Did you just do your picks for November?
Did you pick him in all three spots too? AJ Lacus forward.
No, I changed up. I changed up my D&Tendy, but I think AJ's my guy from October to March.
Ride or die.
No pressure, AJ. No pressure. AJ.
October to March or October through March?
Hopefully for my guy AJ, October through March.
Oh, okay. Again, apologize. No podcast last week, but if you take yourself back to where we were Thursday, I was in the middle of driving myself, Jake, and Trevor from Pennsylvania to New York at the same time where a hacker created the email address for me. So if we even tried to record a podcast at that time, it could have just
been hacked.
It could have been terrible. It could have been truly terrible, right?
So 4 weird voices on here. I'm like, who the heck is this?
This is true, right? But again, we tried to make up for it with this one. To recap the college series, I think Jake, you said it best. Like we have 2 huge weeks per year every season between that and the finals, and like I don't know which one's better, right? Because they both are
college week. Yeah, college week is just it's special to me. It's just so unique. No other junior league does it. They don't give their players this opportunity, and our players take it every year. And they do great. So I go college week. It's special. It's fun to travel with you guys and get to spend some time with Trevor, observe his sleeping habits. Always very interesting. And so, yeah, it was a blast.
Jeff, I did have to wake up him up twice. I had to literally, yes, I was literally slamming on his door one day, like slamming on the door. I was like, you got to get up. It's like 10 something. Like I've been up for 4 hours already. Like let's go.
Trevor burns the midnight oil. He goes to bed at like 4 or 5. He stays up and edits, and he's a night owl.
But it's been awesome to see the players that played in the college series, what they've done since rejoining their respective teams. The list goes on and on. Corbin Mealy.
This is the old EHL score on us.
Yeah, Corbin Mealy already has 2 game-winning goals since returning to the Railers. Nolan Zotter had 2 goals yesterday since returning to the team, Maryland. So you can tell that the players that get the chance to play in the college series come back even stronger, right?
AJ Lack has 2 goals against the New Hampshire Avalanche.
Connor McAleer, commitment to SUNY Brockport. Let's go.
Oh,
so it's a busy time for the EHL. We kind of felt like we kind of paused for a week for that college series, but we're jumping right back into things. The last 6 days of the October Fantasy Challenge, and then November starts. So make sure you get your picks in. And Jeff, second to last episode for you before the big day. So we got one more episode before that big day for you, and we'll catch you guys all next week.
See you then.
Love you.
Thanks for listening to The E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.